Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Movesets video. Today's video is going to be all about Luvdisc, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Luvdisc is a Water-type Pokemon introduced in Generation 3 that possesses two abilities, both of which being abilities that benefit from rain being up on the battlefield, with the first one being Swift Swim, which doubles your speed in the rain, and the second one, which is this Pokemon's hidden ability, Hydration, which cures all statuses while rain is up on the battlefield. But as for this Pokemon's stats, Luvdisc is really a Pokemon that is not very great in any particular area except for its speed stat. However, there are a couple of things that this Pokemon is still capable of doing that allow it to still be usable despite it probably being one of the worst Pokemon in the game. Now, its HP stat being base 43 along with its 55 defense and 65 special defense make it very frail, and offensively, with its base 30 physical attack and 40 special attack, mean that it really isn't going to do a ton of damage. However, because its speed stat is actually pretty great with 97, there are quite a few things, as mentioned before, that this Pokemon is capable of doing successfully, even if it is not as good as maybe another Pokemon, but this Pokemon should still be reviewed and given movesets for regardless. So with that, let's take a look at the first set that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to be running Luvdisc as a Toxic Staller. So we're going to start this one off by giving you a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack, and going with either the Swift Swim or Hydration ability, as there really is no preference for this set. For the EVs though, we're going to put 248 into its HP, 8 into its physical attack, and 252 into its speed stat to give it its maximum speed possible, while also giving it a little bit of added bulk by investing a ton into your HP stat, which will also assist in allowing you to gain more Leftovers Recovery, which is this Pokemon's item, at the end of every turn, and also make your first move, Substitute, a little bit more effective because your substitutes will be a little bit bigger, and by the off chance that you are up against something that won't break your sub, which is rare for Luvdisc, but still possible, it'll have a much more difficult time breaking the sub because your higher HP stat will make those substitutes have more HP to them. But along with Substitute, the main move of the set that's really going to allow this Toxic Stalling to actually occur very effectively is the move Sweet Kiss, which is a move that will confuse your opponent and make it so that they occasionally do not attack. Now this is really great because if your opponent hits themselves in confusion, we can go for a free substitute that turn, and then they're going to have to break your sub to damage you, all the while toxicking them in the process, thus slowly wearing down their HP. Now because Luvdisc isn't really capable of doing a ton of damage on its own, the really best way to allow Luvdisc to do damage is by having your opponent hurt itself. But in addition to this, there's also a last move that we can go with on the set, which is either going to be Waterfall, which can work very well in combination with the Confusion, because that'll allow for some flinching to potentially occur as well, but we can also run Soak in the last move slot to allow this Pokemon to turn its opponents to Water-type Pokemon, which often will remove their stab, but also make it so that you can then Toxic anything in the game, because it'll be a Water-type, and even like a Pokemon that was typically a Steel-type before can now be Toxic, and also Poison-types that were, Poison-types before immune to Toxic can now be Toxic. Though do keep in mind that if you're using Soak on the set, you have no offensive moves, so you're very susceptible to Taunt, but regardless, this set can work very effectively on a Luvdisc. As for this next moveset, we're going to be running a rain support set for Luvdisc to make use of. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Calm Nature to increase its special defense but lower its physical attack, and then going with the Hydration ability. As for the EVs, again we're going to put 248 into its HP stat, and then also this time putting 228 into its special defense stat, as this is the better of its defensive stats, thus allowing us an easier opportunity to set up rain against special attackers. But then we're also going to put the remainder 32 EVs into its speed stat to allow this Pokemon to actually outspeed base 100 speed Pokemon that it falls just short of outspeeding with no invested EVs or nature. But for the moves on the set, the first one, as mentioned, because this is a Rain Dance set, is going to be Rain Dance, to allow Luvdisc to set up rain on the battlefield, which will then activate its own hydration ability, potentially, but also support its teammates. Now we can do this in combination with the Damp Rock item to extend the turns that rain is up from 5 to 8, or you can go with Leftovers as well, but I think Damp Rock particularly is more useful, but Leftovers still can work. Additionally, then we're also going to run Sweet Kiss like we did on the previous moveset, because this Pokemon's ability to confuse things is one of the best things about it that allow it to still be somewhat useful. And then in addition to this, we're also going to be running Scald on the set to give Luvdisc a chance to burn opponents, which can then support your team a little bit better while rain is up on the battlefield. It'll also be boosted to give this Pokemon a little bit more attack power, which it desperately needs to actually do some significant damage. But for the last move on the set, we're also going to run Rest to allow Luvdisc to heal up to full full HP and then be awoken immediately as a result of the hydration ability while Rain is up on the battlefield. And finally, for the last moveset of this video, we're going to be running Luvdisc as a Splash Sweeper, as a result of some new interactions with the move Splash and the Normalium Z Crystal. So we're going to start this one off by giving it either an Adamant Nature to increase its physical attack but lower its special attack, or a Giant Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack. And then for the ability, again going with either Swift Swim or Hydration. If you're going to be using this Pokemon on a Rain team, I would more so recommend Swift Swim just because it'll boost your speed, but Hydration can be great from preventing this Pokemon from being crippled by any statuses your opponent might be going for. But for the EVs on this set, we're going to put 4 into HP, 252 into its physical attack to max that out, and then 252 EVs into its speed stat. And for the moves on this set, the first one, as mentioned before because of the title of the set, is going to be Splash, which is going to work in combination with Normalium Z to actually boost this Pokemon's physical attack by 3 stages, which is the equivalent of like a physical tail glow. Now because of this, Luvdisc is actually then capable of actually doing some significant damage because its physical attack will be boosted up somewhere in like the 400 range, which is pretty darn good. So along with this, we're going to be making use of Waterfall to be our main stab water type attack on the set, also for the chance to flinch, which can be very useful. And then for your second attack, going with either Return to have a powerful normal type move for good coverage along with water type moves, as there are a lot of things in the game that don't resist normal type moves and water type moves simultaneously, or potentially going for Bounce as an additional type coverage option, which will allow this Pokemon an opportunity to paralyze opponents and also deal significant damage to opposing grass type Pokemon that it might be matched up against that Waterfall would be hitting not very effectively. But finally, for the last move in the set, we're actually going to be running Aqua Jet, which is really fantastic on this Pokemon because of the fact that it is able to actually get a pretty powerful priority move after it gets to +3 from Splash with Normalium Z. And this could actually allow this Pokemon to reliably revenge kill a lot of things after it is set up, which is pretty cool for, you know, a Pokemon that can't really do a ton, but still can do some things very effectively. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video. So thank you all for watching my movesets for Luvdisc, one of the most underused and not so fantastic Pokemon in the world. But as you can see, it can still do quite a bit and still be used effectively. So there's no reason why this Pokemon shouldn't be taken seriously when you see it on a team. But with that, everybody, thank you all for watching. And as always, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.